So, hello!
Hello there, listeners. Welcome to our podcast called This Is Not a Real Podcast. Today we'll be talking about World of Warcraft. So,
You
tell
sound
me,
like
Dominic.
a radio host.
Thank you, I've been trying this whole set. So, tell me, what is World of Warcraft, Dominic?
World of Warcraft is a game that I have been playing for about 2 years now, and I think it's just the best, in case you were wondering. It's an MMORPG, which means it's a massive multiplayer online role-playing game. It's quite a mouthful. Yes, and as far as the story goes,
It takes place in a fantasy world called Azeroth, and it's a very big world, and throughout all the expansions you explore most of this world and other worlds.
yeah, it's kind of medieval fantasy, but certain areas of it have technological advancement farther.
And also like mixtures of magic and technology, but yeah, anyways. There's also multiple races that you can play in the game, which depend on which faction you choose. So
Yes,
what's
the
factions?
story of the factions, there's the Alliance and the Horde, and some may say that the Alliance is kind of the good guys and the Horde are the bad guys, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. Both factions are kind of nuanced and both good and bad, so that the player doesn't really know which side is, the right side.
So yeah, there are different races depending on which faction you choose, and often there are also PvP, meaning player versus player, between both factions. So there's also a really big lore surrounding the story, which we won't delve into because it's just pages on pages on pages.
Oh yeah, the game has just such a complete and dense story. I spent months trying to learn the entire thing, and I'm still not there.
So yeah, what's its use? Well, it's mainly used for entertainment or having fun. However, some players would tell you that it's a way of living.
It is. Okay, and also, fun fact, some people play World of Warcraft as their full-time job. There are actually jobs as,
E-gamers, esport.
Yeah, exactly.
Esport players, which are people who go to competitions and they'll be
They play against other people in competitions and they win money from that, so that is their job, basically.
So yeah, so basically this whole World of Warcraft thing started in November 2004 when Vanilla launched the classic version of World of Warcraft, often called Vanilla by the fanbase. And then it was shortly followed in January 2017 by their first expansion
2007.
Really? Oh my god, 2007. With an expansion called The Burning Crusade, which had a new world called Outland and upped the level cap from 60 to 70. It was followed by Wrath of the Lich King in November 2008, which introduced a new part of the original world Azeroth called Northrend.
And fun fact about Wrath of the Lich King, because I'm so full of fun facts, during Wrath of the Lich King in the year 2009, World of Warcraft reached its peak of players with 12 million players at one time. Which
a lot of people.
Yeah, that's more than basically all of their competitors combined.
Yeah, so it also upped the level cap from 70 to 80, and then it was shortly followed by
Cataclysm, yeah. So a lot of people say that Cataclysm sucked. I can't testify to that. I wasn't there yet. But basically what Blizzard did, instead of adding a new area, they did something kind of cool. They decided to destroy their entire world that they had already made, which angered a lot of people,
so
obviously.
it's like your little brother going through the Lego house, like the Lego town that he just built, and it was beautiful, and then he just smashes everything to the ground.
Yeah, basically, which is kind of an interesting direction to go in, but the story is sort of, there was a dragon that comes up from the earth and shatters the entire world.
Which is really just an excuse to destroy their Lego world, yeah.
Yeah, so some of the zones that had been previously for lower level players were now made for higher level players, and the level cap was increased from 80 to 85, which is another thing that angered some players, because from then the level cap had been going up in 10 level jumps. Yeah.
So, the next expansion is called Mists of Pandaria, which launched in November 2012. It introduced a new part of the world, a new continent named Pandaria, and this expansion had lots of mixed reactions because it included lots of racism, a lot about China and, like, Japan and Korea
Well,
and
it's
stuff.
not all that racist.
They're
but
fat panda people who eat
Okay,
noodles
fine.
and fight with kung fu. I'm sorry, but that sounds a little racist to
It's
me.
a little racist, but it's not all that racist. It's more like well-meaning people who decided to represent Asia and somehow managed to lump every Asian stereotype ever together.
Yeah, it also increased the level cap to 90, so... Yay.
Yeah, Warlords of Draenor, which is the current expansion that's going now, was released on November 23rd, 2014. And it introduced Draenor, which is kind of a past version of Outland, and through a very convoluted story twist that I did not appreciate. They traveled back in time to an alternate universe. I can't remember which one. Anyway, it raised the level cap to 100, and to be released this summer in late August is the new expansion Legion, and some theorize it to be the last expansion because, as I mentioned previously, the game had 12 million players in 2008, and in 2015 they were down to 5 million.
Also, this sort of included lots of things that people were looking for, but it sounded more like things that should have been placed into different expansions and not just smashed together.
They kind of, I think they tried too hard to give the player base, what they wanted, but sometimes the people don't know what they want.
Especially this player base, as we're about to see. So who uses it? This game is rated T for teen, although lots of people play it before they're teen. I think...
Oh my god, I played it before. You were supposed to be 14.
Go to jail, leave.
Look, you were supposed to be 14 to play the game, and I was 12. I was in 7th grade. I wasn't gonna wait until I was 14 to play the game that I wanted to play. So, I put down that I was born in 1998 for some reason, and that...
Such a rebel, Dominic.
Oh, yeah. I was such a rebel.
Yeah. Although, this game, mind you, also includes a really inclusive community because they sort of have it in mind that you're either against Blizzard or against the player base, which sort of is a very,
Yeah, it's a very
toxic mentality.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of conflict because there's people who are on the side of Blizzard and who have faith in everything they do, and they're very optimistic about the future of the game. And then there are the WoW is dead people, or the WoW is dying people, the ones who hate Blizzard completely and who just can't.
Yeah, so, what are the dangers associated with, World of Warcraft? Well, you can get addicted to it,
Yeah, there's a lot of tasks that require a huge amount of time to complete, just hours upon hours. There was this tale of this guy who was in an internet cafe in China.
And
oh my god.
Apparently after playing World of Warcraft for 72 hours straight...
He stood up, walked 2 steps, face planted, and died. Why am I laughing at this? It's not funny. It's tragic. I'm sorry.
You played too much World of Warcraft.
I'm sorry.
It's 14. That's why it's messed with your mind.
Corrupted my mind. Yes.
Corrupted your mind. Yeah. So it should be noted that this game also includes a very intense black market. So no, there is no marijuana in World of Warcraft. However, there is...
Well, some argue that fellweed is a very potent substance.
Unless you can get high on, like, electronic goods, I don't think that really counts. But this game, its currency is gold, and unlike most games, which the company often sells gold to players, they don't. Blizzard doesn't sell gold to its players.
Yeah, in fact, selling gold to anyone for real-world money is against the terms of service, and they've been very strict about that, but people do it anyway. They spend hours trying to make gold, and then they sell it for real-world money over the internet. Anybody caught doing this is instantly banned. On either side of the agreement.
It should also be noted that, this gold farming black market, it does, I have heard on several accounts online that there is, often just children, apparently this is the thing that happens, there are companies that hire people to work for their gold farming company to sell them to players.
Really?
Really, yeah, actually, I'm not kidding.
Okay, I never heard of this.
And, of course, wherever there is a workers' union, there is a workers' slave market. So apparently there is I have read online a couple times that there is a whole child labor sector for people working for... It is horrifying. For people working for these gold farming companies. Well, they're not really working, they're just children forced on computers to play a video game all day, which I guess, as far as child labor goes, that's pretty good. That's pretty...
yeah, you make a good point.
One can argue that that's not really child labor, but it is, yeah, it's still a sweatshop.
Yeah. So that's it, I guess.
That's all the information.
Yeah, see it in future episodes that probably will not exist. Hear the rest of the story later.
So yes, so thank you, dear listeners, and I would also like to thank our sponsor. The sponsor for this episode is Pikachu Incorporated, and essentially they paid us to tell you about their new line of Pikachu dolls. And honestly, Dominic, my Pikachu dolls look fantastic. It looks so good. It's got that cute little red ball.
I know, right? They've got so many cute little red balls in there.
Okay, well, have a nice day.
Yes, exactly.